Okay, we're up to Chav Chesam and Aleph. The Mishnah had said if you have a carbon eitzim, the day that you have a carbon eitzim, there was machlokes in Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Yeshua. Rabbi Yeshua said that when you have a carbon eitzim, you still have the ma'amid by ne'ilah, but you don't have the ma'amid by mincha. That by ne'ilah, I said the opposite. By Nila, you don't have the Maimid, but by Mincha, you do have the Maimid. So the Gemara wants to know, my hefesh ben zel is that. What's the difference between Mincha, that the Zman Eitzim of the Maimid does not knock out Mincha, and what's the difference that it knocks out the Maimid by Ne'ilah? He says, Halol devei Torah, halol devei Seifen. Mincha, which is the Raisa, according to this opinion, the Maimid is not Doicha. The Zman Eitzim is not Doicha the Maimid, and you would have the Maimid service by Mincha. Ne'ilah, which is only Divrei Soifrim, again, we spoke at Ne'ilah is not only Yom Kippur, it's by any one of these 13 Tanesim or Tanis Tzibur, you would have a Ne'ilah. In those cases, what the Maimid is Nitcha. Let's see Rashi over here. It's interesting Rashi. Okay, we have an interesting Rashi over here. Halol Divrei Torah, four lines down. Halol Divrei Torah, Mincha, Kidamina Bebrachis, Yitzchak Avinu Tikin Tfilas Mincha. Yitzchak Avinu was metaking mincha. Shnemar v'yetze Yitzchak l'suach b'sada. Yitzchak went to daven in the field. Lifnei eres as it turns towards evening. U'deneilu midivei seifrim. B'tzricha chizuk loigas hachu nagaris. Because obviously we're doing away with the ma'amid, so we're not being mechazik it. Just interesting to note, there's a famous machlokes that we've spoken about in the past between the Rambam and the Ramban, whether tefillah is the rice or not. According to this mashma, like the Rambam, that tefillah is the raisa, the Rambam not. So you have to see how they learn pshat over here. Okay, so that would be the difference why the ma'amid is still in vogue by mincha on the day of where they bring the eitzim, as opposed to ne'ilah, which is the Beis Seifrim, the ma'amid was batal. Zmanat kahanim va'am. So we spoke about these 9 days where they would bring the karbanis, where certain people brought the karbanis because at the time, when the Bryce can go into it, at the time of the Oila from Babel, when they were Oila, they didn't have Eitzim, and these people must not have Eitzim. And in the Vim, Zechariah, Malchi, and they went ahead and they were talking that they should go ahead and every day, even when they were rich, and they did have Karbanis, Eitzim available, that Zechariah, Malachi, the guys did that those days should be special for these people. Those days were called the Zman of Asay Eitzim, the carbon Eitzim. You bring the carbon Eitzim. When they came up, they didn't find the Eitzim in the lishka, in the chamber. These individuals went, with their own money, they were in the stadev, and they gave wood. Hisnu Neviim Shebinehem, Zechariah Malachi, right? They were talking. Shafilu Lishka Malaya Eitzim, even if the Lishka is full of wood, you Elim Isnad Mishalahem. Even though those days the wood should come from these people. Shnemar, the Hagarolos he palnu, and the lots we cast al carbon Eitzim Akahanim Alavim Va'am. For certain times during the year. Which times? The days that when they came up from the Goyla that they had given those days. Because of the Torah, that's it. Right? And we said on Tu B'Av, we said all the Kan Levim would come. There would be a special day, and anyone who did not know which day, he knew that he was a mishpacha that gone ahead and gave, but you don't know which day. So they'd have a yontif on Tu B'Av. In addition, it was the zman of the Bnei Goinvei and Bnei Eli. Bnei Goinvei Eli and Bnei Koitzei Ketziyos. Literally, those who stealing of the pestle and those of the cutting of the Ketziyos. So what exactly is the people with the pestle and the Ketziyos? What's going on over here? So Amru, Pam Achas one time, Gozra Malchus Gezer al Yisrael, Shlo Yaviu Eitzim Maracha, they should not bring Eitzim Maracha, nor bring Bikurim Yerushalayim. The Gemara will explain each one piecemeal. And the Goyim, the Romans, ostensibly, they set up on the roads, they set up roadblocks, right? Shloyalu Yisrael l'regel. Just like Yeravam had set up, he had started his malchus up north, and he didn't want them to be oil l'regel. He set up to Eglei Zahav up north, and he put up sentries that the people who want to be oil l'regel would not be able to be oila, and they would stay by him. Mal asuk sherim. What do? Heviu sali bikurim. They would bring baskets of bikurim, of the first fruits. V'chipum b'ktsios. They would cover them up with dried figs. V'notlam v'eli al kas. They would take them. V'eli al kaspehem. They would put this pestle that would use to crush these dates, these figs, on their shoulders. The kimishagiu eitzel prois. When they would come to the roadblocks, Amr lehem lehechanatam hacham. Where are you going? Amr lehem lasais shnei gulei devela. We're going to make again. They used to keep the pressed figs in some type of circular form. The machtesha shel fenenu, with the machteshes, we're going to find the mold, get the type of mortar. Ubeoli shel kasvenu, and the pestle that we would use to crush it. And kimish avru mehem. Once they would go ahead and pass by the guards, itrum bisalim, they would go ahead and they would adorn their baskets, which were fully bikurim, which was the norm. They bring them to Yerushalayim, and they would go ahead and bring them there. Tana hein b'nei salmoi hanat tutfoi. This Maisa that happened regarding the Bikurim, this Maisa also happened with the sons of Salmoi Hanatfoi, and this is going to explain they were Geyser Gezerah not to bring wood. So Mahin B'nei Salmoi Hanatfoi. What's the Maisa with Talmai Hanatfoi Pasi? What's the Maisa that Talmai Pasi? What happened over there? Is Pamachas goes from Malchus Gezerah Yisol Shlo Yaviu Eitzim Maracha. They set up the guards. What would they do? The people of the generation, they would go ahead and they would bring their they would bring their wood, and they would make sulmos. They would make ladders. They put them on their shoulders. And kimin shegiu etzlon. Since they reached the guards, Amar lehem lehechanatam halchem. Where are you going? Amar lehem lehevi goizlalis mishayvech shelfanenu. I'm bringing. We have to go bring birds from the coop. We want to bring birds from the coop, so we need ladders to get up to the coop. B'salama shel kasvenu. Kimish avrumahen. Once they passed by the guards, pirkum, they took the ladders apart, which would give them wood. Ve'aviyam behalos Yerushalayim. Aleim akayotzben, regarding them, the bnei sulmai, and regarding the people who brought the bikurim, then what do we say about these people? They said that Amei Zechet Tzaddik Levracha, Bal Yeravam ben Nevat, who Loyalenu set up guards that they shouldn't be able to regel. It says Nema B'Shem B'Shem Yirkav. The names of the Rishonim should be what? They should be despised. Okay, we're up to Chav Ches Amen Aleph. Chav Ches Amen Aleph. Count up from the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 lines from the bottom. We're at the end of the line. Be'esrim. Yes, if someone had a question?
Didn't the wood have to be not work like in a sukkah? You could not put on that kind of wood on top of a sukkah. It had to be like, wood that was
it just not to have worms in it. It just didn't not have to have worms in it. It just didn't have to have worms in it. So now we said there were 9 days, guys. There were 9 days where different groups brought the eitzim. They was not the eitzim. So to facilitate understanding in the next Gemara, I have a chart over here that I copied, and let me put it up here. That's not good. Where is it? That's not good either. Okay, let me see where this chart is. Here's the chart. We're good? Guys, you can see this? Give me a thumbs up if you can see. Okay, good. Watch. These are the dates. So it says on the 20th day of Av, the Mishpacha of Pachas Moav ben Yehuda, that was their day. Reb Meir says that was the day of David. When it says Pachas Moav, it's David who came from Rus, who came from Moav. Good? So that's Bnei David. Then there's on the 20th day of Elul, it was Bnei Odin ben Yehuda, and on the 20th day of Tammuz is Bnei David ben Yehuda. Thus, according to Reb Meir, you're doubling down. On the 20th of Av, you had Pachas, but Pachas is really David. So on everyone's Moida on this day, it's David, 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 David. So according to Reb Meir, you have a double David. Pachas Moya ben Yehuda was David, and on the Esrim Tammuz, that was David. Rabbi Yossi in the Havamina, he says on the 20th day of Av, that was the sons of Yoav ben Tzeruya. Tzeruya was David's sister. And so therefore, Yoav, who was David's nephew, also came from Rus, because Tzeruya was David's sister, came from Rus. So now, who brought that day? These descendants. On Esrim be'elul, Bnei Odin ben Yehuda, that's Bnei Yoav ben Tzeruya. And on Esrim is David. So it comes out of Rabbi Yossi, you have a double. You have Yoav on this day and Yoav on that day, right? So you have a double on both days. Good. So we have Rabbi Meir has a double according to this, and Rabbi Yossi has a double. Rabbi Meir's double is David. Rabbi Yossi's double is Yoav ben Tzeruya, the Mishpacha. According to Rabbi Yehuda, again, this he says Pachas Moav ben Yehuda was Pachas. That's who he was. On the 20th of Elul, it's David. He says Odin is called in the Navi. It says Edona Etzni. So Edon is Odin, and that's David. So according to Rabbi Yehuda, you also have a double. On the 20th of Elul, David brought, and on the 20th of Tammuz, David brought. So Rabbi Meir, Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yehuda all have doubles. So the Gemara is going to ask, our Mishnah went ahead and it only said one person had a double. Bnei Parosh had a double. But like Rabbi Meir, you have a double, David. Like Rabbi Yossi, you have a double, Yoav ben Tzeruya. Like Rabbi Yehuda, you have a double David. So why aren't they listed? So, okay, so the Gemara is going to answer, the Mishnah is according to Rabbi Yossi, and there's two brises according to Rabbi Yossi. One said one and one said the other, but he never said two. So watch. Rabbi Yossi in the first brisa, he held this was Yoav and this was David. So you don't have a double. In the second brisa, he held this was Yoav and this was David. So you don't have a double. So Rabbi Yossi is the Tarav Mishnah. The only double you have is Bnei Parosh, but you don't have a double anywhere else. Okay? So I'm going to say the Gemara, and I'm going to keep the chart open, guys, so you'll be able to see as we go along. Says the Gemara. Esrim boy b'nei Pachas Moav ben Yehuda. Tana b'nei Pachas Moav ben Yehuda. Hein b'nei David. They're the same ones, right? Right? They're Rameya. These are Rameya. There's your chart. Pachas is David, and this is David. Rabbi Yossi Aimer. Hein b'nei Yoav ben Tzeruya. Rabbi Yossi says that they're David ben Tzeruya. Good. Continuing the Baisa. Esrim be'elul b'nei Odin b'nei Yehuda. That's the middle chart. Tana Rabbanan, Bnei Odin ben Yehuda, Hein Bnei David ben Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda. So these are the same. According to Rabbi Yehuda, this is David and this is David. Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yossi Yomer, Hein Bnei Yoav ben Tzeruya. Rabbi Yossi says this is Yoav ben Tzeruya, and this is Yoav ben Tzeruya, and this is Yoav ben Tzeruya. Okay? So now, Fred the Gemara Kasha. The Echad b'Teves, it said in the first day of Teves, Shavu b'nei Parish Shniya. Parish came a second time. Mashma from the Mishnah, the only one who doubled down was Bnei Parosh. Yet the way we're learning Pshat, Reb Meir, Reb Yossi, and Reb Yehuda, they all also doubled down. Says the Gemara, Mani Mas Nisan, who's the Tana of our Mishnah? Loi Reb Meir, v'loi Reb Yehuda, v'loi Reb Yossi. Why? I Reb Meir, Lisni, Shevoi, Bnei David, Ben Yehuda, Shnia. So look, according to this, look at the chart. Reb Meir, David brought over here on the 20th of Av. David brought over here on the 20th of Tammuz. Next, I Rabbi Yehuda, Lisni Shavu Bnei David Ben Yehuda, Shnia, second time. Look at the chart, guys. Rabbi Yehuda, Esrim Elul is David, and Esrim Tammuz is David. So he also should double down. I Rabbi Yossi, Lisni Shavai Bnei Yoav Ben Tzeruya Shnia. Let's look at the chart. According to Rabbi Yossi in the Havamina, you don't have David doubling down, but you have Yoav doubling down, right? The children of Yoav. So what's the answer? Loilam Rabbi Yossi, v'trei Tanoi live with Rabbi Yossi. Loilam Rabbi Yossi is the Tana of the Mishnah. Now, what's Pshat? Rabbi Yossi, we have a machloikis what Rabbi Yossi said. One said that Esrim is Bnei Yoav. Everyone agrees, guys, Esrim Tammuz is Bnei Yehuda. According to the first brisa, this is Bnei Yoav. You're not doubling down. According to the second brisa, this is Bnei Yoav. You're not doubling down. You have a double of what? In other words, you never have Yoav being doubled. Over here, we learned Yoav being doubled. No, One said Yoav here, one said Yoav here. So as a result, you never have a double. I think that chart made things a lot easier, right? Made things a lot easier to see. Yeah, Baruch Hashem. Okay, now guys.
If Sriya was David's sister,
yeah.
So is that it? So isn't that really all? It's not, so that's not considered B'nai David, because Yoav was the father.
Right. Yoav ben Sruya, it's the mishpacha of Yoav ben Sruya, right? It's not B'nai David. B'nai David means David. Okay, now we said in the Mishnah the ma'amades were blocked out for different things. So, for example, if you brought the days you said Hallel, there was no ma'amid by Shacharis. The day there was Musaf, there was no ma'amid by Musaf nor ma'amid by Mincha. The day there's the Eitzim, there was none by Ne'ilah. So therefore, we said the following: on Rosh Chodesh Teves, right? Rosh Chodesh Teves, we just had Rosh Chodesh Teves, guys, right? Rosh Chodesh Teves is Chanukah. So watch. Shachris took care of Ma'amid. Hallel took care of Musaf took care of, no, excuse me. Hallel took care of Shachris. Musaf, we say Musaf because it's Rosh Chodesh. That's taking care of the Ma'amid of Musaf and the Ma'amid of Mincha. And since Be'ech B'Teves was the day of the Eitzim, which person that was who was on that day? Let me look for a second. On that day was B'nai Parash the second time. So the Eitzim took care of Ne'ilah. So therefore, that day, all four my mothers are gone. Hallel took care of Shachris. Musaf, which is Chanukah. Musaf, which was Rosh Chodesh, took care of the Ma'amid of Musaf and the Ma'amid of Mincha. And since it was B'nai Parash, it was the day of the Eitzim, that took care of the Ne'ilah. Okay, there was no my mothers that day. Amalei Mar Kashisha, brother of Chisla Ravashi. Said Mar Kashisha, the son of Chisla Ravashi. It's interesting. Mar Kashisha, he really was the youngest son, but he was born to Rav Ashi in his old age. So he's called Mar Kashisha. But he was the youngest son. He wasn't the oldest. Kashisha means oldest. So Amalei Mar Kashisha, brother of Chisla Ravashi, on the base. Maishna Hallel, the Dachi Didei. Hallel takes care of Shachris. Umaishna Musif, the Loi Dachi Didei. It's mashma, guys, that Musif, it didn't list in the Mishnah. It just said Musaf, right? It's said by Musaf, you don't say by Mincha, but the Havamin is, but you would say by Musaf. So by Hallel, which is part of Shachris, it takes care of the Ma'amid of Shachris. Why Musaf does it take care of Mincha, but it doesn't take care of Musaf? Amalei said, Rav Ashi to Mar Kashisha, the son of Rav Chisda, Hashta de Lavdi Dei Dachi. It's Daicha. Mincha, meaning Mincha, it's Daicha. Didei like Kol Shekain. Certainly then it's Daicha itself. So you're learning wrong pshat. You said in the Mishnah when we only listed Mincha, it must be it's not Daicha the Ma'amid of Musaf itself. Says Rav Ashi, it's Fashteitzach. If it's Daicha Lavdi Day, if it's Daicha the Ma'amid of the one next to it Mincha, certainly it's Daicha itself. So what's your kasha? If you have, as we just spoke at, Rosh Chodesh, where you have Musaf, it takes care of Musaf and Mincha. So what do you think? It doesn't take care of Musaf? If it takes care of Mincha, of course it takes care of Musaf. So Amalei, so Makashish said, no, this is what I mean. It should be only Doicha Musaf, and it shouldn't be Doicha Mincha. That's my kasha. It should only take care of Musaf, and it shouldn't take care of Mincha. So Amalei says Rav Ashi to Rav Makashisha, there's Rabbi Yosi who goes like you. The Tanya Rabbi Yosi Omer, Kol Yom Sheyesh by Musaf. Any day that has Musaf, Yesh by Maimid. You have a Maimid when? By Shachris. Maimid the Mai. Ilem a Maimid the Shachris, Hatana Kama, also holds that way. Ella Maimid the Musaf, meaning there's a Maimid of Musaf. 1 second. The day Nami like Dachi. There's no way it's Dachi itself. Ella the Mincha, let's be glorious like the Gra. Ella the Mincha. It must be that it's Daicha Mincha. And what does the Gra say? You have to be the Gra. The Gra's the thing is Ella Mincha near Ako. No, there's the Gra. Ella the Mincha and the Ela. Ella Mincha the Ela Dachi. Ella Lav the Ela. It must be that what? That it must be that it's not Daicha Ne'ilah. It's that it must be that what? That it's not doicha ne'ilah. So therefore, we hold it's doicha ne'ilah. We disagree. But your kasha markashisha that it should not be doicha mincha and ne'ilah. In fact, Rabbi Yossi holds like you. It's not doicha mincha and ne'ilah. So you have somebody. It's doicha itself, but it's not doicha mincha and ne'ilah, and therefore somebody goes according to you. We of course hold that it's doicha both. That the musaf is doicha musaf and mincha, and ne'ilah is only because of the zman carbon eitzim. Lavni l'shmam, the day dachi, it's doicha musaf. The lavdi day mincha, according to the Gra, mincha and ne'ilah loy dachi. Shmam, you have a good raya to what that is a shita that Makashisha holds like Rabbi Yossi, the Tana Rabbi Yossi. Fred Gemara. Now, guys, you just told me on the day that there's Rosh Chodesh and Hallel that and Korban Eitzim, there is no Maimed. That's Rosh Chodesh Teves. Good. V'lisni nami be'echad b'nissen le'hoye b'Maimed v'sheyesh by Hallel v'Korban Musaf v'Korban Eitzim. Guys, one of the people listed Rosh Chodesh Nisan. Who was that? The Echad ben Nisan was Aruch ben Yehuda. Good? Aruch ben Yehuda. Guys, so watch. Look at me. Guys, look at me. Rosh Chodesh Nisan also has the 4 components that should get rid of all the Maimados. Let's go through it. A, you say Hallel, it's Rosh Chodesh, right? So that gets rid of Shachris. It's Rosh Chodesh, you say Musaf, that takes care of the Maimid of Musaf and Mincha. And since it's the Zman of the Korban Eitzim of Arach, that takes care of Ne'ilah. Yet our Mishnah only considered Rosh Chodesh Teves. It did not consider Rosh Chodesh Nisan. Guys, listen to a teretz. You say this to a teretz. On Rosh Chodesh, the Hallel is only a minig. It's not a din deraisa. The minig, the difference between Chanukah, which was Divrei Kabbalah, and Rosh Chodesh, the Hallel of Rosh Chodesh. Rosh Chodesh is a minig. The Hallel of Rosh Chodesh is a minig. The Hallel of Chanukah is not a minig. The biggest raya, on Rosh Chodesh, you don't say Gans Hallel, you don't say Leilano, you don't say Ahafti. Why? Because it's only a minig. It's only a minig. So Memela, the reason why the Mishnah does not consider Rosh Chodesh Nisan is because you would say by Shachris. You would, the Hallel there is a minig, it would not be mevatel the Maimid of Shachris. By Rosh Chodesh Teves, where the Hallel is the Kabbalah, that's mevatel the Maimid of Shachris. Masha Enke by Rosh Chodesh Nisan, no, it doesn't do it, and therefore it's not considered. Okay, there's a chiddush, guys. There's a lot of Torah on this. I got to go to school soon, but I'm saying this big taisus on here. How do you make a bracha on a minig, right? We said this, guys, by the Arava. Remember in Sukkah, we hacked the Aravis. We said it's a minig from the days of Rishonim, but that's why we don't make a bracha on it. It's mash from here that you do make a bracha on a minig because it's minig of halal, and yet you're making a brachas. Good. Okay, let's go. Let's
Sfardim don't make a bracha on Rosh Chodesh.
Okay, there you go. I wouldn't know that, but it would make sense. They don't make a bracha on the minig. Probably Shulchan Aruch paskins that way. Probably I would think the Beis Yosef paskins that way. Okay, let's see the Gemara inside. Okay, Fred the Gemara Kasha, Gavaldi Kasha. For listening Nami be'echad b'nisin, let's learn be'echad b'nisin. On echad b'nisin, you should all the mamada should be bottled. That lo yehoy b'maimin. Why? Sheish be a halal that should take care of shachris. The korban musaf that should take care of musaf and mincha. The korban eitzim of arach who should take care of nila. Amarav, as I said, Meres, what do you see from here? Halila de breish yarcha, the halal of Rosh Chodesh, lav de araisa. It's not the araisa. The Amr Rabbi Yochanan, Mishum Rabbi Shimon ben Yotzadik. Usually it's Shimon ben Yotzadik. Shmoina Esra Yoyim B'Shana. There are only 18 days of the year that Yachid Gomer Behen Es a Halal. That a Yachid would go ahead and be going with a Hallel, and you would say Leilanu and a Hafti. These are them. Shmoni Me'achag, so that's 7 days of Sukkot plus Shmini Atzeres. Ushmoni Me'Chanukah, that gives us 16. V'yom Tov Rishon Shel Pesach, that gives us 18. That gives us 17. V'yom Tov Shel Atzeres, that gives us 18. Again, in Eretz Yisrael, they didn't go ahead and so only a total of 18. However, Ubegoyla in Chutz Laretz, Esrim Be'echad Yom, you can get 21. Ve'eluhein Tisha Yemei Achag, right? Because we have 2 days of Sukkot. Ushmoini Yemei Chanukah, and 8 of Chanukah at 17. Shnei Yom Rishon Shel Pesach, that's 19. Ubeis Yomim Tov Shel Atzeres, that's 21. Now, the reason why we don't say Chol HaMoed and the last days of Pesach is Ma'aser Tovai, Ma'aser Yodai Tovai B'Yom, Yata Meshira, my handiwork, meaning people, the Tovai B'Yom, and you're saying Shira. So therefore, since we don't say it the last days, we don't say it by Chol HaMoed Pesach either. Right? We don't say Chol HaMoed Pesach either. Good? So now, very geschmack. So what's your teretz? Is that the reason why we didn't consider Rosh Chodesh Nisan is because the Hallel there would not be mevatel the Maimid of Shachris. The Musaf would be mevatel the Maimid of Musaf and Mincha. The fact that it was the Yemei Aroch, Zman Eitzim would be mevatel Ne'ilah, but the Hallel would not be mevatel what? It would be mevatel Shachris. Says the Gemara. Rav Ikla Bavel, Rav showed up in Bavel, and Chayzinu de Kokoria al Chalil Breish Yarcha. He saw that on Rosh Chodesh they were saying Hallel. Sabalav Skanayu, we thought he was going to go ahead and be mafsek. He's going to stop them. Keeping the chazi to come medalge deluge, since he saw they were skipping over Leilanu and Bahafti. Amashmami, no minig avasem biyadechem. They're just doing a minig. It's not doing it al schiyov. And Tana Yochel Yaskel, an individual on Rosh Chodesh should not begin saying Hallel. However, Mhiskil Goimer, if he does begin, then you should. So that's a kasha why we don't say on Rosh Chodesh Nisan. Okay, now we said 5 terrible things happened on Shivas B'Tammuz. Let's go through the 5 things. Hey, Devarim Iru Esabasenim B'Shivas B'Tammuz. Hey, Nishtabra Luchos. Minolon. How do you know that Luchos were broken on Shivas B'Tammuz? The Tanya. B'Shisha L'Chodesh Nitnu Aseres Adibis. On the 6th day of Sivan, Moshe received the Aseres Adibis L'Yisrael. Rabbi Yossi Yom B'Shiva. Rabbi Yossi says on the 7th day. Again, you might remember the Machlokes. Is Moshe was Moshe of Yom Echad Midaita. Moshe of Rabbi Yossi, Moshe was added on a day, and as a result, the Torah was given on the 6th. It was given on the 7th. Manda Amar B'Shisha Nitnu. So B'Shisha Nitnu, they got the Aseres Adibis, and B'Shiva, and on the 7th day, Ola Moshe to get the Torah. Manda Amar B'Shiva. The one Rabbi Yossi says that the Luchos were given on the 7th day. Shiva Nitnu was Shiva Oila. He went up on the 7th day. Everyone holds the bottom line is Moshe went up on the 7th day of Sivan. That's the key point. Machlokes when Matan Torah was, but when Matan Torah was, whether the 6th or the 7th. But everyone says Moshe to get the Torah went up on the 7th day. The Chsiv, it says Vayikra el Moshe b'yom hashvi mitoch ha'anon, u'kesiv vayovav Moshe b'toch ha'anon v'yala l'har. So it was on day 7. Moshe b'har, Moshe was he went up day 7. And he was on the mountain, Aboim Yom 40 days. Aboim Lailan 40 nights. Esem v'abod the Sivan. If you count the 7th day itself, you have 24 more days to Sivan. He went up, so that'd be 24. The Shitza the Tammuz, 16th day of Tammuz, 16 and 24 is 40. Ma'ulen Aboim, 40 days. And after 40 days and 40 nights, he came down. When did he come down? The Shipsa the Tammuz. He came down on the 17th day of Tammuz. So Naches. Also, he came with Havinu Luchas and he broke it on the 70th day of Tammuz. So everyone agrees that the calamity of the Luchas being broken was on the 7th day of Tammuz. The next thing they said was Batal Tamid. The current Tamid was Batal. How do we know it was Batal on the 7th day of Tammuz? The Gemara says, Gemara, we have a Messiah. There's no limit for it, but we have a Messiah passed down throughout the generations that on the 17th day of Tammuz, the Tamid was Batal. Hufka Ir, Zayin Hu, right? The Hufka Ir stop. The cities of Yerushalayim was breached on the 17th day. It says Gemara, Vakasiv B'Chodesh Haravi B'Tishul HaChodesh. It says in the 4th month, which was Tammuz, on the 9th day of the month, Veichazek arov be'ir uksiv basrei. But Tibok ear, that the ear was broken on Mashma the 9th day, not the 17th. Amarov lekasha kam b'rishayna kam b'shniya. There's a difference between whether what the base that means the first bias was on 9, b'shniya, and the second one it was 17. The Tanya b'rishayna hufko ear b'tisha b'tamas b'shniya b'shiva asabay. We saw a Tosfos when we did Rosh Hashanah, guys, on Daf Yomi test. We saw a Tosfos that they even the first was on the 17th. But they made the Yerushalmi, who argues in the Bavli, that they were both on the 17th, and they had made a Beit Cheshbon. They thought it was the 9th, it really was the 17th. So that was the third things. We had the breaking of the Luchais, we had the Talmud being battle, and we had the second bias, we had the walls of Yerushalayim being breached. And the fourth best thing was Soros Apostomus Esator. He burnt the Torah that Ezra had made. Where do we know this from? That it was on the 17th day. Gemara, that is a Messiah. And finally, the last thing is Menashe set up a tzlem in the Heichel. He put Leilenu, he put an idol in the Heichel. Hemit tzlem beHeichel minallah. How do you know that? The Chsiv, it says, "U'miyes husar ha'tamid v'lase shikutz shaymam." Shikutz is lashon. The shikutz lashon shkotzim. He put an idol. Fred Gemara v'chad have. Did he only put one idol? V'kasiv bal knaf shikutzim mishum mishaymim. Shikutzim is mashma plural. There were two idols. Amarabba trei havi. Really, there were two. The nafal chad al chavre, one fell on the other. The tavre lay liyade, and he broke what? Broke its arm. So therefore, since it broke an arm, it's disfigured. It's considered like one. Yishtakech dahavik siv amin aleph ant sobis lecharuve. Basically, you want to destroy the house. Yotcha eshalim islay. In other words, you want to destroy the house, but guess what? The hand that you want to destroy the house will be destroyed. Look at the top Rashi. One slem said to the other, you want to go ahead and destroy Hashem's house? I'll do Mamish, he broke his arm. So very, very interesting. Okay. Anyway, every good Shabbos, Mazel Tov to Rabbi Eliezer Stern and his wife, the Rebbetzin Ruthie, on the Bar Mitzvah of Meya Simcha Neumann.
Mazel Tov, Rabbi. Have a good Shabbos.
Shabbos, everybody.
Mazel Tov.